What's going on YouTube? This is Andre ClassicCuts reporting live, and in this video I'm basically going to discuss how to actually use the razor blade from scratch, like how to actually teach yourself and just use the blades and understand how to do a razor sharp lineup by yourself. So obviously I just gave my client a haircut. I actually went over with the trimmers. I didn't go into full work with the trimmers like I usually do with the wall heroes, because I want to actually show you guys how to use the razor blade. So the first thing you always need to do is just stretch the skin. If you don't stretch the skin, that's how you end up cutting somebody or actually leaving like a really bad like gash mark. So you just stretch the skin, and you have to make sure that you go about one, or basically not even a full inch, like half an inch, and just go back and forth and try to keep a straight line going. Your blade is already at a good length, and it actually lets you know that you can easily make a straight line by just going back and forth with the same direction and not going too far over or too far less. Just try to stay along that same line. Obviously, as you can see, like my client, certain spots on his forehead, like for example in the middle right now, you can see that there's not even hair there, but you still should go over that part, because that's what's really going to make that lineup really just pop. So you just go back over it, stretch the skin, make sure that the blade is like 45-degree angles, or it don't even have to be 45, as long as it's like more face towards like your client's forehead. That's all that really matters. Just make sure that it's not faced up to the point that like you're cutting fruits or something, because you'll actually cut your client. Same thing with like the corner side. You do the same thing. You look at how far you want it to be, and you just keep going over it and over it. And right here, as you can clearly see, the lineup isn't 100% straight, but I'm actually stretch that skin and come back and just go back and forth and make sure that I make that whole entire corner line area completely straight. Just focus attention on that one side, and boom, there you go. Already you can see that it's already a nice crispy line. When it comes down to the curves, you always don't use the whole entire blade. Just use corners and pieces of the blade every single time. You don't need to use the entire blade. And the blade that I'm using is obviously a easy blade. I just made a whole review over it. If you're interested, same with the blades and with the actual gel, y'all could go check all of that out. I just made a video over that. Back into this video, yeah, you just stretch the skin and make sure you just go like maybe even half of an inch or an inch at the most. Never do more than that, because there's a better chance that you'll end up cutting somebody. And basically I get back to my corners, and as you can clearly see, I'm not even using my full blade. I'm really just tackling it with the corner of the blade that I'm actually using, and pretty much knocking out areas that's not actually giving my lineup that full curviness. I want to make sure that it's completely curvy. And right there, my whole lineup is pretty much done. It pretty much took me a course of probably like 2 minutes from what I just had before. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm also going to go into a like more detailed about the curve, because I kind of just went straight through it right there. So back to what we just was showing. Here's the lineup. It's nice and crispy. I'm going to go more in details with actually like the curve and everything, how to actually use the curve when you actually line somebody up. Also, you don't want to just use the razor blade, do like what I just did right now, just finish and let that be the finished product. You always need to go back and go back in. I mean, I just showed you guys to let you guys know this is like the finished product, but always and forever actually use your brush everything off again, because you don't want to just leave that dead skin just hanging there like a lot of barbers usually do. Brush all of that off, and you can just go right back over it and make sure that it's still straight, it's still sharp, because a lot of people, they'll actually have like the hairs that are cut and leave those hanging all across the edge up to the point that the hairs that have been cut is hanging across the lineup, and if you actually wash your hair, the line won't even be as crispy as before. Obviously mine still is really crispy, but I'm just saying in certain cases there's some people that will pretty much just do that. So as you can clearly see, I'm just going back over it again for this video purposes, and just making sure that my client's lineup, when he step up out of the chair, is still going to be razor sharp. And as you can clearly see, I'm going back and forth just like 1 or 2 inches, making sure I didn't miss anything, making sure that the line is extremely straight, extremely sharp. Just want to really make sure that everything's in order. Also, remember, I also made a video about the blades that I'm using. Like, these are like one of the most sharpest blades in the game and the most durable from like multiple sources of different people that I want to talk to. I believe I got like 200 or 400 for about, I think, $12 or $13. I mean, you can't beat that on Amazon. So definitely check out that. So back into details about the actual corner. So you see what I'm doing right now? I'm using half of my blade. I'm going in, I'm pulling the skin, and I'm actually going up real slow. I'm making sure that I don't want to go too fast like how I did with the lineup. I want to just really make sure that I can make this curve as curvy as possible. So as you can clearly see, I'm using just pretty much just like 1/4 of the entire razor blade, and I'm just going over the curve. Always and forever remember, when you first go over it, it may not be automatically crispy the first time. Sometimes you got to go over this thing like 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 times until you finally could just see that crispiness just pop out. That was like one of my mistakes when I first started using the razor. I will go over it like 2 times or 3 times, and I'll be like, man, it's still not like as crispy as like I'll see in other people's pictures. But then once I really like went into details, really stretched out the skin and went back over it maybe even 5 or 6 times and really just made sure, it made a huge difference in my cuts and my pictures, of course. So that's just another tip that I like to let you guys know. Even for like the sideburns, like what I'm doing right now, I'm going back over it and I'm stretching the skin, and I'm actually going in really slow, 1 inch, 2 inches at the most, and I'm making sure that the entire line is completely straight. As you can clearly see right now, I'm still just using the corner of my actual blade. My curve is really starting to come to life after going over it multiple times. You can clearly see that the little hairs are starting to slowly disappear. You see right here, it's like one little hair sticking out. I use the corner of my blade and just tackle that one little part and go and make sure that I get rid of it to the point that this entire side is completely curvy. That's it. It's pretty much like the entire video of exactly how to use a straight razor. It's not too difficult at all. Just really just stretch the skin. It's all about like stretching the skin and making sure that you don't end up cutting anybody. And another thing, like if it's a bump somewhere or a bump on the edge up or a bump on the side, honestly try not to even touch that side, because 9 times out of 10, even if you go over it just a little bit, it's still a really good chance that it'll end up bleeding. It always happens. So just try to avoid any little bumps that just so happen to be close to the forehead. Just try to go not completely touch it or not to completely cut over it, but just like slide over, or just get your trimmers and like actually cut that particular spot. Then after that, go back with the razor and start using it other places on the lineup. Like I said, like the box area is completely easy. It's like the easiest part. You look at where you want to actually start that box, and then you pretty much set it there. Use like a good inch or 2 and just keep going back and forth over it. Don't go over that, because of course you just don't want to cut anybody. It's so easy to cut somebody, especially with these particular blades, which are called Dorco blades. It's so easy to cut somebody because these are so sharp. And as you can see right now, I'm going in again with the corner of my blade, not using the full thing for the curve. And then for the straight sideburn part, I'm going in one more time, making sure that this entire sideburn is straight, nice and sharp, real nice and smooth, going over it multiple times. See, I'm going back in over my curve. See, I done went over my curve probably about a good 3 or 4 times already. And that's really what the razor work is all about. It's not so much that it's going to be extremely crispy the first time. It's more so, how sharp do you really want to get it? It's really all up to you. If you just keep going over it and knocking out those little hairs, that's what makes the difference on everything, and which leaves you with a laser sharp lineup. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to Andre Classic Cuts, my YouTube channel, of course. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter @ClassicCuts. And definitely don't forget to follow me up on that gram, because I drop exclusive footage on the daily that I don't put on neither one of the other social medias. So definitely add me to all those.